5 of Descent Into the Wormhole, where we discuss everything from ancient civilization to modern day social issues and everything in between. I'm Les.
And I'm Stevie J, and today we're going to be talking about, is immortality possible? It's a question many people have had, I feel, but there has been some discussion about certain tech companies. Microsoft comes to mind with old Billy Gates, and being able to transfer one's consciousness into another vessel, whatever that vessel may be. But there are so many questions and considerations to think about with this. And of course, that being a potential immortality, being able to transfer your consciousness from vessel to vessel to vessel. But
Right.
how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Fantastic.
Good.
So what do you think? First question for me is, would you want to be immortal?
Well, if I did it myself, yes. So
Right.
the true definition of immortality is not dying. It's not having that break in consciousness. So every time we come back, so if you truly believe that we are reincarnated over and over again, that the true meaning of immortality is that you remember all of those incarnations. You don't have a break in consciousness. So if I can get there myself, then hell's yeah, sign me up. Sign me up with the pharaohs and the princesses and the kings and the queens of Egyptian time. Like, I'm in. But I'm not too trusting of someone else fiddling with it. I wanted to say another word, but
You can't trust someone who fiddles with it. You really can't. And
FYI, I can't trust you.
or you. Okay. So I agree with you, though. I agree. How can you, if we can do it ourselves naturally, without intervention from one of these fiddlers, I feel like that is where it's at. And yes,
Right?
sign me up. I can wear,
Yeah.
Egyptian robes. I can wear a headpiece. I can, I'm all for that. But the key word here, I think, is intervention. And what these tech companies want to do, and we'll talk about the motivation in a minute, which is very basic, I feel, but they want to take our consciousness out of us and put it into either something synthetic or put it into, say, an avatar body, like just another human body, which to me, that whole intervention thing and having a third party involved is the danger of all of this, because we talked about this a little bit before, but during that, let's just say that they can do it. I mean, Microsoft have said that they can, and that scares me, by the way, Bill Gates. Yeah. But during that transfer process, that level of intervention, okay, if we think of computers and we think of coding as ones and zeros, if, let's just say, my consciousness, your consciousness is complete with all its ones and zeros, they download it to a hard drive, and then they go, we want them to actually, I don't know, buy more products of this. Delete those zeros and ones, add some ones and zeros, and now put it into that synthetic body or into that other human body. And that will serve their purpose. So that very much scares me. I mean, I totally agree with you. The natural process, if we can get to a spiritual level where we can remember our previous lives and maintain consciousness throughout the entire stream, no matter how we're embodied on this earthly plane, then great. But wherever somebody else is involved, and especially where somebody else asks for a fee to do said process, then I find that there's big issues surrounding that.
We can because we can do this for free. We're just not taught that we can. We're told that we can't. We're held down so much from the powers that be. We're just held down. So the fact that they're touting all this now, like, well, we can do it for you. You can't do it on your own. But for all the money in the world, we got you. We got your back. And it just makes me really, really nervous because I don't know if it's possible. The thing is, we don't actually know that they're
Right.
actually transferring the essence of me
Mm-hmm.
into something else. They can maybe make it sound and act like me, but is it actually me?
Right.
Like, are they just making this up? And
Yeah.
only people who would really truly know me would be
Mm-hmm.
able to pick it up and say, this isn't her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this truly isn't her. And who owns me now?
That's the big one. That's the big
Who am I
one.
who am I signing my consciousness over to? And does this kill me? Does this kill my consciousness? Am I done? Am I done moving forward in the reincarnation cycle that I fully truly believe in and support?
Exactly. That's a great
Why would I
question.
stop that process?
That is a great question. And you know what? It's one of those. It's sort of like one of the age-old questions. Is technology, of benefit, true benefit to us, or is it not? Because that's an interruption, like you said, in that natural process.
Yeah.
And our souls, and I'm with you. Like I believe the same thing, but our souls are an eternal being, right?
Yeah.
There's no death for our souls, but if there was digital intervention like that to a scale like that, would that potentially end your soul's journey? Would it
Mm-hmm.
stop? Because the the thing that they're doing, right, is, and it also scares me, is taking as much information as they can get, allegedly, from your consciousness, from your DNA, is how they're planning to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and putting it into a vessel. But my other question is, how many vessels? They could just take,
Ooh.
once you're digital, they could put you into anything and then sell you a million times over. And it's like digital
Oh.
trafficking. And so then, if they.
We're gonna need new laws.
Exactly.
We're gonna need new trafficking laws.
Right. So with that,
I
I
never
mean,
thought of that.
there could be a million yous, but none of them are actually you. And does
And
that
no one
also?
wants that.
Wow, one guy does, but then
Okay.
but then it fractures. Does that also fracture the soul as it gets split into
Yes.
all those many, 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 divinations and derivative. What's the word there? Derivatives of you. So
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
does that weaken me? Like, does it deteriorate me at the core level that, like, am I just a bumbling idiot walking into walls at the end of the day after like my millionth splicing?
Yeah.
Or am I a complete weapon? Are they going to weaponize me and turn me into something like a weapon?
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many different terrifying thoughts about this whole thing. But I think at the first question, like the first logic tree question is it real? Or are they just telling us it's real?
Well, great point. So glad you said that, because, I mean, how easy is it to just go, from start to finish? This is the process. Okay, we can transfer your consciousness. Sign up today and get a 2-for-1 deal, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
But
so,
wait, there's more.
but wait, there's more. Actually, there isn't. Um, so, but what they do is they sign you up for the 2-for-1 deal. You pay your, let's just call it $100,000,
Mhm.
$100,000 for immortality. So you pay your big bucks, and then you die, you pass on,
Yeah.
and thinking that your consciousness will continue, and then just go,
Right.
cool, that was an easy 100K.
Yep.
How are you ever going to know if you if you actually make it to the other, like make it to the next embodiment? You're never
Yep.
going to know.
No.
So they could just take your cash, and that's it.
Yep.
Tell everyone that they did it, but meanwhile
Right.
they didn't. And that
Right.
actually leads me into the next one, which is that episode on Netflix that we were watching of The Future of. So,
Yes.
because,
And this is what sparked this conversation.
right,
We watched this, we're like, what the fuck is going on?
exactly, because these mofos had an idea of turning us into trees, which, like you said when we talked about this, in its premise, like if you lose a loved one, burying them and planting a tree where they're buried is a lovely idea. And I think it's
Yes.
actually a nice idea to give you a place to go, to actually, connect with nature and all that sort of stuff again. I think it's great. But the big difference with this one is they want to plug a computer screen into it and literally stick electrodes into the tree and then take your social media accounts and your behavior on social media and make that.
A lot of people are going to be worried right now. They're like, I'm a complete dick online.
delete. But they want to make it so essentially, like if I die, you can go and visit the tree and a holographic me will pop up and it will be like based on my social media activity and platform and personality. That's who you'll be able to talk to.
Right. Thank goodness they're one and the same. A lot of people, they're not.
Well,
a lot of people are going to be in for a huge ass shock when they sit down to their avatar tree and they're like, oh, I'm going to go sit down with, I don't know, Karen. And they're like, fuck, we named her appropriately. Like,
yeah, she pops out. She's like, where's the manager? Get me the manager, somebody.
Well, starting from the beginning from this, I understand we're running out of room. And we've had this conversation well before we even watched this. I'm like, where the hell is everybody? Right? Like we've had like thousands and thousands and thousands of years of thousands of millions of billions of people transfer through.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell is everybody? We should be plastered from A to Z, tip to tail with graveyards. If that's the way, like, where the hell did everybody go? That's my first question.
Yeah.
And I know they did say like places like China and Hong Kong, all they do is cremation. Like cremation is A, is cheaper, and B, whatever. And then there's another company out in BC. I think it was BC or Seattle. Anyway, it was, one of those places over there. That they were turning the deceased into mulch, which I think is a great idea. Because then you can put it in the garden or you can plant it with a tree and that can be your avatar tree without anything plugged into the tree.
Right, yeah.
So we're running out of room and I understand that. Completely on board. I understand. But at the first, straight out of the gate, I got a question about this tree. Has anyone asked this tree if it's okay that we take over its DNA to plug in someone else's?
Right. Yeah. Well, no, of course they haven't asked that. And of course they wouldn't ask that because as much as they, would suggest that a consciousness transference is real, like it's a real thing and it would be the real person and all of that, they don't look at trees or nature or anything else and say, oh, that's real. Yeah, that's a living thing. Because every single thing is connected.
Yeah.
Every single thing is connected. We can't see the connection, but you can't see your connection to Wi-Fi either. So
Exactly. So like we don't know what plugging things in, like plugging a computer into a tree is going to do to the tree. Will that tree stop producing oxygen? Like will this be the death of us? Will this be the ultimate death of us, what we're doing? Yeah. And what happens to that tree in 30 years when they want that land for development?
Yeah.
Because here, our countries are very different when it comes to vegetation. You can't cut down a tree.
Right.
Like you need to build around them.
Yeah.
We knock them the fuck down. We don't care. We will take a beautiful acres, like thousands of acres of land and cut it all down to build homes that aren't needed because we have plenty of old ones. People just don't want them because, they're old.
Right.
Like it's becoming like so there are places and there are countries that do preserve their trees. And I'd love to know what people in different countries think of this because, in certain areas they do honor the vegetation
Yeah.
because it is living. It's a living, breathing, feeling thing. It feels, it puts out a vibration. They get scared just like we do.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just amazing. Like what happens to a tree? Like how much am I spending to put my social media? Well, they're not going to actually have much, but they're going to put my social media up in a tree. And then what happens when, say, 2 generations from now, and I got no one left in my family because I'm the only one. I'm the last one left
Yeah.
of my lineage. So what happens? Do they just cut it down and they're like, well, that was an easy
Well,
200K?
yeah.
Very confused.
That is what they do, I believe. They just would cut it down and repurpose it, give it to somebody else, you know, like it just, the ethics of this idea, is just insane. Because, you know, the other thing too is, imagine, we can agree, right? We can agree that these mofos just want to make money. These pricks just want to make money off anything that they can. What can we sell, and how can we make money off people's vulnerability and people's emotions? Because, you know, in that moment, like, okay, so for me, I've had people pass away, right? Of course, you know, family members and stuff. And it's very sad at the time. You know, even good close mates pass away. Mm-hmm. But like, in the moment that happens, you have I feel, an innate feeling of wanting them back and wanting to talk to them again, wanting to see them again, all of those things. And it's really strong in that initial grieving period. But, you know, over time, like now, I'm quite happy with the memories I have of those people. And so what they would do, though, is target you right at that moment when it's just happened and be like, we can give you them back. We can give you them back.
You'll do anything.
You'll do anything. You'll pay anything. Well, a lot of people will, right? Like, so they do that, and then they double down on that. And you go to your tree and you're like, oh, I want to see my loved one. And then before you get to see your loved one, up pops 5 ads on there. Yeah. Because it's another advertising space.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. If there's an opportunity to show us something, they're going to show us something. You're absolutely right. The vulnerability that they are grabbing onto is just horrific. Now, this isn't going to work all around the world because there are places that celebrate death. It's going to happen to all of us. Like none of us are going to escape it. Mm-hmm. This is just I think this is just our way of making ourselves feel better about the fact that we're all going to, you know, die once again. Like we've already done it. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many lifetimes I've had. Yeah. Obviously, it's fine because I'm fine. like mentally, maybe not, but I'm fine.
Well, I can tell everybody watching, she's definitely not a hologram. I know that. She's real. She's tangible.
Yes. So like I don't know. They're getting you, and they're tapping into that fear, but there are a lot of places who just won't buy into that fear. A lot of places they're preparing for death. They live preparing for death because they're preparing to ascend because they want to become immortal. Mm-hmm. That's their end goal. Yeah. So of course they're going to be preparing for that ascension process. Of course they are. They've got their eye on the prize. Over here, it's such a bad thing. It's such a negative thing. It's something that we should, you know, we don't talk about it, and you know, we should all be afraid of it because, you know, it's the end. I don't think it's the end. I'm looking forward to seeing the thing to find out if I'm right or not. Like that's like, not that I want to find out tomorrow, but I'm really like, I'm looking forward to finding out to say, fuck, man, I was right. Or like, oh shit, got it all wrong. Like,
well, we can wait a little bit, but yeah,
I'll wait a little bit. You know, 200 years or so is
right. I think we can make it to 200. Let's do it. Let's make it to 200.
Done.
I think
set the intention. It's done.
Exactly, and I think you spot on. I mean, it's the reason why people feel so afraid, at least in my not so humble opinion, is that we're told from birth to physical death, we are told death is bad. It's scary. Yep. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. And I feel very sadly the reason we're told that is because there's a lot of money to be made between now and then based on that fear. And so
Yes.
now what they're talking about doing is trying, another money-making avenue, which is make money off the fear again by saying, well, we can keep you going. We can
Yeah.
give you immortality. But in a true sense, it's not immortality because it's just it's digitized.
Yeah.
It's not you. And if we talk about the essence of ourselves, if you give control to somebody else who can manipulate that on a keyboard, it's no longer the essence of you. It's no longer truly you because it can be manipulated and intervened on and all of those sorts of things. They can, it can be hacked, I guess, essentially. And, they're doing that now. I say that they're hacking people's essence right now, but what it really is suppressing the knowledge that people have the ability to do these things themselves. And the reason is, I feel they can't make bloody money off it. They if they told everybody the truth that you actually are in control of your life, your soul, your essence, you're in control of that. And you can do amazing things with that. Then they can't make any money off people.
Right.
And so then they're going to keep all of that suppressed. And it's a reason why you see, specific people who are very intelligent not be publicized in the mainstream. You see, lots of scientific work being done that is looked at as fringe, even though it's done by scientists. It doesn't get published, doesn't get talked about at all. So, and I think, we'll probably cover some of that in some more episodes, about, DNA and its makeup and what it actually can do and, the heart and everything like that. But, I do feel like they just keep people intentionally suppressed to sell them stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think what they said on that show was like one of the options was that we get to decide. So if I buy the package where I get to decide, like say I'm a real dick online and hiding behind my avatar. And here's the thing. I'm hoping one day that there's a glitch in the system and one day everything anyone has ever said online is able to be tracked to the person who wrote it. I'm just waiting for the day because some people are just so vile. They're taking their own hatred out on everybody else, like their hatred of themselves out on everybody else. But friends and family have no idea. I'm like, there's no way you have friends speaking like this. You have zero friends, but they do because no one knows it's them. People would be very, very shocked and very, very embarrassed by their behavior if it was actually tracked to it. So they said that there's this package, this quote unquote package, I guess, that we get to decide what we upload. So I get to do it's like my Instagram feed, which I don't do, but say I'm an Instagram feeder and I post all the amazing things in my life. I'm going to troll everybody. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to troll everybody because the thing is, like, I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, yeah, you know what? Like there's a lot of questions that I would have like for my grandmother, a lot of questions for my grandmother, like that. It's gone. Like that knowledge is just gone. And I would love to be able to do that. So if there was a place where I could go and ask the question and actually have her answer it, that'd be fantastic. But I'm going to troll everyone because I can tell everyone I was the Queen of Sheba. I'm going to tell everyone I invented A, B, and C. And I'm going to say that, I'm going to troll everybody. So everyone who wants like, fuck man, I really want to talk to Les and I really want to get the inside scoop of what, her life. And here I am doing rails of Whitey stuff. Yeah. I'm going to tarnish my name from left to right.
Your hologram pops up and it's just Scarface with a pile of coke.
Yeah.
Like that's the real me, people.
I'm doing it. I don't care. Because this is so, and that's the thing, like we can troll people, like we can create a life that is nothing like the one that we lived. We can make up so many things, and unfortunately this is how history is written. History is written by the people who said it happened like that. It's like, well, we don't know.
You could you could troll people, but
that'd be me.
I know but the thing of that is you could troll people, right? But let's just say in the most in the most ethical sense that they're talking about this stuff. You pass on, and I'm like, how's I want to go check out your tree. And I just want to, see what's under those branches. But when, those maple leaves. But how do I know they've sold me you?
Right.
And the other thing is, what if I'm just, I'm Bob, who had no one. He was a virgin and he just went through life, and then he's like, you know what, I'd love to, I see these trees, I see these holograms, I'd like one of those because I'm lonely. So he gets in touch with Microsoft or said company, and he's like, hey, how much for one of those tree holograms? And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, which loved one would you like it to be? He's like, oh, I don't have any. And they go, oh, okay, well, we can get you one. That's fine. Now, what kind of hologram would you like? What kind of person would you like? So you didn't want it, but they then sell you to Bob as well. And they're like, hey, Bob, check out Les. We've got her. So you then rock up in all these people's trees when you didn't know them from a bar of soap.
Oh, my God. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I am all for spending some time, chatting it up with a lonely person. No, that makes me feel very, very uncomfortable because I don't know what they're going to have me say to Bob.
Exactly.
It's out of my control.
Yeah, you just got me thinking of another thing. Like, are they going to have conjugal trees? Like prison, you get a conjugal visit. Is it going to be a private setting for the visit to the tree? Like, but this is just where this whole thing goes. Like initially,
it could run amok so fast.
Exactly. And I think I said to you, because you watched this before me, this episode of, it's on Netflix, people, by the way, called The Future of. Go check it out. But you said to me, you said you had watched that episode and you sort of explained to me what was happening about the tree uploading and everything like that.
Yeah.
But my question to you was, what kind of like mood did the show have when they were doing it? Like, what was the music like? Was it dark and ominous, or was it all boppy, like everything's good? And of course, it's all boppy, and it's all like, hey, da 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 da, transfer your consciousness, woohoo!
Give us lots of money.
Exactly. They were doing the money dance, but they didn't.
They were.
But they never mentioned any of these negative things. And that's part of that subconscious programming, I feel, to get people ready that this is a great thing and it's a positive idea. But they don't talk about any of these potential negatives that we've been talking about with this, like the dangers, the issues, like all of the stuff surrounding it. They don't talk about that. They just play that like really upbeat vlog music, and they're like, like somebody who's just had a quinoa salad and gone for a run, doing their vlog. They play that kind of music.
Yeah.
And really, they don't talk at all about what the implications or negativity around it could be.
No, and the thing is, like, if it doesn't go mainstream, like if this is only for certain fancy people, then once again, like even if it does go sideways, we'll never really hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if the initial phasing is only for fancy people, those people are not going to say it didn't work. They're like it. I just feel like they won't say anything. It will only be if it works, then they'll start to trickle it out to the masses. And so it's the 1% will get their hands on it first, and then the rest, if it's a success, or if it's a perceived success, if they're able to pull enough wool over people's eyes, I feel then it would. But like, we have people buying property in the metaverse, so people will buy anything.
What? Like, I know what you're talking about, but Jesus, like,
thank you.
It doesn't exist. It's just
Neither
more.
does my tree.
Exactly. It's just more ones and zeros. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I just, yeah, they're definitely trying to take advantage of someone at their most vulnerable. And I understand they're trying. I'm just, every time I think of it, I think, is this how Atlantis sunk itself? Like, is this how? Because the story goes, we don't know if it's true or not, but they got too advanced for their own bridges,
Mm-hmm.
Atlantis, and they needed to be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, are we on the cusp of doing that? Because Elon Musk said in an interview once that it terrifies him of machines being able to think,
Mm-hmm.
because once they start learning, they're unstoppable and there's no kill switch.
Right.
This is a breeding ground for these droids
Mm-hmm.
with no kill switch. It is terrifying.
Totally agree.
Unless I'm a hologram in a tree trying to sell you, I don't know, lactose free milk. Because that's just it. They could make me sell anything. They could make me sell
Well, that's
something
it, right? They
that
could
I don't buy into.
they could make us into anything at all. Anything.
Yeah.
It's scary.
I'd love to see a contract. I would love to see a contract who actually owns my consciousness. Not that they say that they put the consciousness of someone into a monkey, or a monkey to a monkey, or a monkey to something. Anyway, it's been apparently done,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't actually know, because the monkey can't tell you, yeah, that used to be me and I remember.
Right.
Like, the monkey can't tell us. So anyway, it would only be until it's human trials that we actually know
Mm-hmm.
that it's real or not. I want to see the contract. Who owns me once I sign this? Because if it's anybody but me, you can
Well,
no, you can
good
go
point.
blow an alpaca. I don't care.
Good point. Because let's just use our scenario again, right? Let's just say you buy a tree, you die, I go
I
visit.
love how I'm the one who's dying first in all of this. Do you have plans?
Well, not that I'm going to tell you about. Like, that would be silly. Why would I tell you about that?
Oh, that's true. What was I thinking?
All right. I die and I go to a tree, right? And I have
I'm
my
happy about
contract. And, you come and visit my tree every day for at least a week. And then you're done with it. No, you come and visit my tree, right? And
Sounds
then
about right.
and then it gets to a point so far into the future that there's nobody left to come and visit my tree.
Right.
Who gets me? What happens to me? What happens then?
I think they just sell the tree to somebody else. I think they'd be like,
Well,
well, Stevie's done.
yeah.
Plug in Jane.
Yeah, plug Jane in. But then what
Yeah.
happens to me in the background? Do I just sit there until somebody like Bob, who's the virgin, comes along and he's like, I want someone. And they're like, oh, well, we've got a Stevie here for you. How would that be? It's like, sure, I'll take
You're
that.
absolutely right. What happens to you?
Yeah. You just sit in a hard drive for eternity.
That doesn't sound like any fun.
It
Unless you're
doesn't.
there with other people, that doesn't sound like fun.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I don't like that at all. And the thing is, like, they're trying to make it so that the premise that I got was that you'll be able to see the progression of humans. Like, you'll be able to stick around through all of these lifetimes,
Mm-hmm.
because now you're just a walking, plastic sleeve essentially. So you get to watch. But the thing is, what if this life was only created by us, for us, and when we come back the next time around, maybe we're building pyramids,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I don't know, in the wild west. We just don't know where
Yeah.
and when we will pop up, because everything is happening all at once. So, like, I just honestly don't think that we should be playing such games with something we know nothing about.
Yeah. We shouldn't be meddling in this stuff. And just back to your Atlantean reference before,
Yeah.
I feel it was potentially that. So technology getting too advanced and all of that kind of stuff. But I think it turned into, because from memory, there was more than one race amongst the Atlanteans. So
Yes.
I think that there was a group who were maintaining the spiritual path, let's just say, and the more natural path, and there was others who were going down the advanced technological path, and there was a clash, obviously, there, and that's what resulted in the sinking of Atlantis in the end. And it may have
Okay.
and it may have been a case of, you know, the more natural group who wanted to stick with spirituality, saying, well, this is our purpose, is to sink this society so that it can all start again sometime. And it's funny that you say that, because there's a lot of evidence to show that the Atlanteans, or at least a bunch of the Atlanteans, then like survived and then went to Egypt. And it's very interesting that many, many, many scientists and historians and scholars say that the reason for all of the hieroglyphs in Egypt and other places around the world is to leave the information for us, the generations that followed, as in leave the information and basically be able to decode and understand what happened and what life is all about. But again, like with most other things, that information is largely suppressed, and we don't get to hear about it.
Well, no, because heaven forbid, right? Heaven forbid the people figure it out. We would run amok like nobody's business. Because the thing, we wouldn't need money. We wouldn't need half the stuff we have. So the people who have had near-death experiences, they all say, except for a couple, actually, a couple were terrifying. But for the most part, they said it was just pure love. Like whenever they went, wherever they went to a place of pure love, and nothing mattered. The money didn't matter. You're mad at your neighbor. It just didn't matter. Everyone's awesome. Everyone's good. It's like the Lego movie. Everyone is awesome. Like it was just like, and you come back, and a lot of them said, like, it's really hard after being in that physical, emotional state. It's hard to care about money. It's hard to care about paying your bills when you're like, well, I know it doesn't matter. I know it's not real.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't matter. So it's very hard to care about things when we know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're just like forced into this thing, and we're forced into this stress, and we're forced into all this. Like, so like it's almost like they want to keep us here to punish us some more instead of allowing us to move forward and experiencing that pure love place.
Yes. Absolutely. Yep.
And they're going to run out of souls, because that's the thing. Because once you start doing that, you're cutting off the supply chain. If it is true that you're taking me and you're cutting me off of my rotation of all these lives, and through my own ascension process, you've cut me off of the past, you're going to run out of victims, because my soul is now non-existent.
Holy crap.
And your soul is no longer existent. It can't come back.
It's literally soul control, because, you know, that book we're reading at the moment.
Yes.
So your soul decides, that's the premise basically, is that our souls decide what we come back, how we come back in our next life embodied, how we're embodied, and our journey that we go on. But with this technology and this hot mess, you're taking away the soul's ability to choose. You're handing it over to a tech company.
Yeah.
You're handing it over to Bill Gates, that ability for the soul to choose. So you're so right, like it's cutting it off right at the knees, and cutting off that continuous cycle that goes on. And not just that, like if you think about a soul as hundreds of thousands, let's just say hundreds of thousands of years old, that reincarnates over and over and over again. All of a sudden, but that's that one soul's conscious choice each time to be embodied a certain way. And all of a sudden, boom, it stops and that control's taken away. So that, to me, I do see that as kind of the true ending of life, not immortality.
Well, I just had a thought. So you know how everything is connected?
Yes.
We are all one. We all come from the same thing. If one of us is cut off at the pass, does that cut off instantly everybody? Because if we're all one soul, we're all connected. We are one entity experiencing this in so many different ways.
Ooh.
Does that actually end life as we know it?
That's a great question, because now, well, does it end all life immediately? Or I just had, as soon as you said that, I had this like vivid image in my brain of consciousness. You know, if we just imagine consciousness as, say, let's just imagine it as a stream of light, right? A stream of light in the universe.
That's how I see it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a stream of light. And overall, consciousness is one big thing, all connecting everything. But it wants to experience different things in different ways through different vessels, us. And so it splits off into many different streams from that source stream. So, to your point, if they're doing this, there's millions and billions of consciousness streams, right? Calling it sort of our souls. But what this would do would gradually cut those streams off so they don't loop back up to the higher consciousness. And so how does that impact?
We'd be unplugged from the matrix.
Yeah. So we would, like you said, lose that connection to the higher consciousness. But at the moment, you imagine all of these millions of streams coming down from that source stream, but also re-looping back. It's a two-way connection. But you lose that now. So what that true source wants, that true consciousness wants, is all those experiences looping back, and it's a growth of consciousness throughout eternity. But you start limiting the growth of consciousness as a whole, and I agree with you, that could potentially be the end.
Yeah. And how do we have new babies? Like, how do we have new births? Because if I'm in a plastic suit roaming around, clearly I can't breed.
Right.
I like, is this population control 101?
Maybe. And when you said that, we hit 44. So it's it is possible.
I think I just nailed it.
I'm not gonna lie, too humble over here, but think I just nailed it. Yes, I think you did. I think you did. There's always a larger goal to these things, a broader goal.
Oh yeah, and I don't trust any of them.
Nope.
None of them.
Not a single one. But
very interesting.
I think
I'm curious to what other people think, because there's so many different ways to look at this and so many different ways to see that, to like take this all in. So obviously ours is not the only one, and probably not even close to being right, but it's right for us. So
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the whole reason we have these conversations, is just you know, we have them anyway. So let's share it with everybody else and see what other people think, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, really curious to see what people think about this. Maybe if people go and watch that episode on Netflix too, The Future of, I think it's episode 1. So watch that as well. Let us know what your thoughts are. And I've really, really enjoyed this, as I always do. So thank you for another awesome discussion.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much to everyone who listened and subscribed and liked and shared and all that jazz. We really, really appreciate you.
Absolutely. And yeah, have a great day, everybody.
Bye.